What is up? Kevin Hale here. Tuesday Night Bites on ERRT Radio's YouTube channel. What do we got? What is this? May 24th, 2022. What's up, my people? Continuing with some content for my friends at ERRT. Ron, Andy, Bobby, Charles, Maria, all you fine people affiliated with ERRT. And who we got here? It's just getting started. We're probably about a 90-minute show tonight. Not sure if Russ is going to make it. He's going to try. The baby thing. Maria, Charles, who else? Bobby, Oofy. Hey, again, happy Friday. I think Maria's already said word of the night, deep throat. I don't know. We can fit that in. No pun intended, as many times as we can. Tonight, we will be talking about one of my all-time favorite shows, The X-Files, a show that debuted September 1993 and became a huge sensation. Actually, when you're talking pop culture, paranormal, Mulder and Scully, the dynamic duo, that was it. I was hooked from the first episode all the way until all the way to the last season, which was season 11. I wasn't as hooked. I was starting to become disengaged, and I was sad I was becoming disengaged because the episodes were not that good. But we're going to make the most of tonight. Joining me tonight, Mr. Alan B. Smith, a paranormal buddy of mine. How are you, Alan? Alan, you've done a couple of these with me in the last few weeks. I mean, I might be, I might give Russ the pink slip and just, oh, it's good to see you, though.
You know what's funny? I was going through some old boxes, and I found a hall pass, but it was basically like a piece of paper that I wrote out, like the room I was coming from, that I was going to the bathroom, and then I had to get the teacher's signature on it, and I found the hall pass.
Really?
And then I Facebooked the teacher, and I was like, "Hey, is this still valid?"
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, "Wow." Well, it was funny. It was like a box of memories, and I know I was talking about X-Files, but I found like all kinds of like Star Trek stuff.
Oh, Lord.
In years. How are you, man?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Always good to hang with you, talk paranormal, get the latest and greatest with your show, which is just awesome. A show that you do live every Thursday night, a solid 2-hour show. Yep. You have all the cool guests. So good to see you. Making her Tuesday Night Bites debut is a friend of mine that we've yet to meet in person, and we're going to do it. But we've been buddies, I'd say really good buddies, for several years. It started with her joining me, her passion for Kentucky sports, the University of Kentucky sports. My Round of Shots podcast. She's one of my besties for the show, and she does her own podcast, a very cool podcast, Girls Beer Sports. Carrie Lewis, as I call her, I say Carrie Lewis and her news. A ripoff of Huey Lewis in the news. Carrie Lewis in the news. Carrie.
Yeah, I've been on with you several Sundays this past couple of months, but this is my first Tuesday, and I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. So
did we do some past paranormal shows together?
Well, we did those.
Maybe it was.
We did the X-Files. We did the X-Files podcast. Yeah.
And that's right.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if you can see my X-Files Barbies in the back. They're a little bit far away from my camera. But then, of course, I got my the DVD game that came out, the computer game that I can't even play anymore because nobody has a CD drive on their computers. But I still have the full game. So, yeah.
I got this. This is like the
book and everything.
Yeah. Found this one. Alan, you were showing that Star Trek-y thing. I can say that I don't know if I've seen any of the Star Trek movies.
I was tempted to wear a Star Wars shirt too, just to really be offensive. But
Well, I could. This is other. I
I've
don't
got
know.
my.
Go ahead.
I
You got that?
haven't graduated to Blu-ray yet, so I'm still on DVDs.
Yeah, I was the person who went out when they first came out on DVD and paid $109 a piece for each of the sets. Yeah, I was that guy.
Well, I do have Fight the Future on Blu-ray. That's worth the purchase because the quality of that movie in high definition, like true high definition, it's awesome. Yeah,
that movie. We're going to talk X-Files. We're going to do our best. I mean, it's 11 seasons. I'm sure we won't, spend too much time on that reboot.
No, we should spend all of our time on our favorite 2 seasons, 11 and 10.
I'm out. That's it. I'm done. Bye. I'll see y'all. Thanks for having me.
There
shortest podcast ever.
Shortest one. But yeah, so tonight again, ERRT Radio, live streaming, chat room. Get the people going with hopefully you guys are in the chat, know of the X-Files, have history with the X-Files, watched some of it, all of it. Maybe it is
one of your favorite seasons. And
I mean, it's on right now. Like I have Sling TV. So one of the channels is the Comet channel. And so it's on every night, Monday through Friday from 9. I think 9 through 1 a.m. So there's 4 episodes and it's actually it goes through every season, every episode of every season, and it's been on for probably definitely over a year, maybe a couple of years, and it's recycled every season, multiple times. And I'm still at the end of the night when I'm laying in bed at 10, 11 o'clock, I'll flip the channels and there's an episode. And even the ones, Carrie, that that we've talked in the past were just bleh, I'll just leave it on. But yeah, what was ladies first, if you don't mind, Alan, Carrie, what was it that? How did the X-File? How did it get introduced to you?
So I was always a big sci-fi fantasy person. I played Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games and all that kind of stuff coming up through high school and all of that. I was
and you play a mean trombone.
Yes, right. I was in the marching band geek. So yeah, I mean, I was just kind of drawn to it because it was just, to me, it was something a little bit different than anything else that was on.
I've gotten some grief from the chat because haven't had a female on the show yet. So
well,
there you go. First time guest for first moment for you and a female. So go ahead, Carrie.
Well, and I enjoyed the male female partnership interaction because there have been shows like that in the past, and just something that I will point to that kind of is maybe a little bit inspired by that, like the Thin Man movies, where it was Nick and Nora Charles, and they were kind of the man woman. I mean, yeah, they were married, but it was kind of that interaction, and I really liked that. And then it was in the sci-fi world and paranormal, and so that even drew me even more to it. So yeah, there's a lot of, I guess, mitigating factors going on there.
I thought Fringe did a pretty good job of that, of bringing the male-female counterpart, but in a different way. I mean, the show was definitely, it wasn't as tight as the X-Files. It was a little bit more fantasy, I feel like, but yeah, it's hard to get that magic chemistry between the two people.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think I've seen anything since that.
And let's obviously, it's probably safe to say that it wasn't, it wasn't the chemistry. Obviously, for me, it wasn't, a male female. It was this idea of a paranormal show. I remember on a Friday night, 9 p.m. Fox, and the way they previewed it. Not a massive amount of hype from what I recall, but the previewing of the show, the advertising for the show, there was a paranormal, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was, based on actual events or something to that effect.
Yeah. And
I remember on a Friday night, I watched that pilot episode, and I was like, that pilot episode without the theme music. And I was hooked. I was sold.
Yeah.
And I'll say it with is 100% manly as possible. David Duchovny's pretty damn good looking guy, still is, and and then Scully, or the whole Dana Scully character was it was different. I love that. The pro and what am I saying? The skeptic and the believer. That trade off. Carrie, when that pilot, season 1, episode 1, labeled the pilot, what's your take?
I mean, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was you'd already had it introduced some of these characters that would become important kind of later on, especially in that first season. In terms of it, I thought it really did a good job of setting up the whole government conspiracy kind of thing. Because when Scully first, goes into the office to get her assignment, and I mean, Smoking Man's there, right? And he's just standing in the corner. He doesn't say anything. You're like, oh, who's this guy? And then, we start getting into the conspiracy type stuff. So I actually thought that it did a good job of really setting itself up from the very beginning and kind of getting you hooked into that, not only the paranormal stuff, but the mythology that was going to come in subsequent seasons.
Right. What about you?
Yeah.
That episode.
That it changed everything for television, like forever. It was extraordinarily groundbreaking, and it was like watching a movie right on TV, which like the equivalent of watching a movie on like Netflix, but it was a television show. It had this just perfect balance between film noir, a little bit of comedy, but that there was always that little touch, between them, the banter, the rain pouring down and Scully like laughing kind of crazily, like this is
that's one of your favorite moments in that episode.
Yeah,
correct.
Like, what is going on? And I think that was brilliant because it's like taking the audience with you. It's like, well, this is crazy, but we're doing this anyway. So like, let's go ahead, And I think it kind of allowed the audience a chance to laugh at themselves and laugh at the maybe okay, this is silly topics, but hey, it's fun. So let's go along for the ride and see what happens.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think also the production value, like going back to the movie, that's some of the highest quality production value at that point in time that you had seen in a sci-fi series. I mean, most sci-fi series, like cardboard sets almost, and, lights and Christmas lights and things like that. But the production value on that thing was really, really high.
Yeah. And they shot that and the first 5 seasons in Vancouver. So you mentioned the rain, which was a common theme that they couldn't avoid, for the first 5 seasons.
It was atmosphere. It was great. I mean, I think the biggest mistake they made was moving to Los Angeles. Like, what in goodness gracious name were you thinking? Like,
well, that was the
television show.
That was Duchovny's request, right?
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, but they should have denied him and been like, sorry, boo, but we're keeping this here.
I mean, you got 5 seasons in, and you got a effing hit show that's just killing it in ratings and viewership. Duchovny was hot then. Andrew Gilliam was hot, but he was also married too, and lived in L.A. So they did right. That's why they moved the
I think that was right? That was one of the main factors. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure he said to them, "Well, if you don't move, then I'm going to quit," or something like that. I don't know if he would actually have done that at that point, even though he was kind of, I think, tempted to, go outside of the X-Files and move into movies. But the thing is, like, location is everything, and if you're filming in a humid location, that translates on film. You can't fake that in a dry environment. You just can't, unless you have clothes like the old Hollywood sets, and they've got the mist machines and a fake forest in the background. And also the way the light filters through the atmosphere, you just can't fake it. And you can see it even like in the last couple seasons, it was just like this. And then they moved to high definition on top of that. So there's just like this ultra polished, clean look to it. Like that just didn't work for the X-Files. That was one of the issues I had with like the last 3 seasons, 7, 8, and 9.
Gotcha.
It was just sometimes it was just too clean looking, and then it got even worse in 11 and 10.
Carrie, pick up on that. What do you think?
Well,
actually, let me hold that thought. Yeah. You mentioned characters like Cancer Man in episode 1. Didn't say a word. Actually, I don't know how. There was probably a few episodes that he didn't literally say a word, and I don't think they knew what they had with him. In those episodes, right? I mean, didn't it just kind of organically develop? If they really knew Cancer Man was going to be who he was in the pilot, then I'm bowing down to Chris Carter. But okay,
yeah, I'm not entirely sure. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, because a lot of times in television shows they write characters that they have no idea where they're going, and either the actor takes them in a direction or another writer takes them in a direction. And there was obviously some brilliant writing on the X-Files. I mean, Vince Gilligan, come on.
Breaking Bad, man.
Darren Morgan, what can you say about some of the episodes that those guys turned out? But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't know, but they knew that they needed somebody to epitomize the government conspiracy look. And you didn't have to say anything. You just stand there in a corner, smoke a cigarette, and look mysterious. And I think that speaks to what Alan was saying in terms of the noir thing. Because what do you have in noir film? You have the dude who's mysteriously in the corner, shadowed with the fedora, smoking the cigarette. You don't know exactly who he is or what he's doing or who he's working for, but he's going to play a role.
Yeah, it's not knowing exactly who your adversary is, and not knowing exactly who you can trust. Like, so those two things were core elements. The who can you trust thing stayed strong throughout the entire season, but I do feel that like a little too much was revealed. Like a little bit of the mystery of who's behind all this, was taken away. And I still think at Fight the Future in season 5, like it was, even though we knew about the cabal and these people behind closed doors, there was still a little bit of a mystique to it. But I don't know, sometimes knowing less, I think is more.
But, and you had Deep Throat, who was also, he was Mulder's ally.
Let's, Maria said this in a comment when I posted on her. There's a little ongoing joke about the word of the night, which requires, I'll do it. If you say the word of the night, then you're supposed to take a drink or whatever, but leads into what you're going to, Carrie, is episode 2, which is titled Deep Throat. Go ahead, because that became a very important character,
right? Because then you get Deep Throat, and he's an agent of the state, but he's also helping Mulder. But is he, who's he actually working for? Is he even working just for himself? And then he gets shot in the freaking face at the end.
Yeah, but see, that's that. Chris Carter's even said it himself. Like, they were just making things up as they went along, to a degree. They didn't have like an overarching story that's going to span 5 seasons. Like if you make a deal with Netflix now, right? They want you to lay out how many seasons do you think this is going to be good for? What's your plan? They were just like, here's our idea. Here's some ideas for some starting episodes, and let's see how it works out. And to the cigarette smoking man. CGB Spencer,
yeah.
Spender.
Yeah,
it was Jeffrey Spender's
That's
father.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Right. William B. Davis was the actor. I don't know if they knew how good of an actor he was, but it was the online chatter. It was like one of the first times where the internet played a role in shaping the direction of a show. Because the online chatter after that was so huge, and like the fan boards and that kind of stuff exploded with this show, and that was the first time that it ever happened with anything on television. So Chris Carter and team were actually paying attention to what the fans were saying, and they saw that there was like so much like curiosity and interest, like who is this guy,
right.
That they decided to like expand his character at some point.
Well, nice segue, Carrie. I guess since he just brought it up, you mentioned one of your favorite things about the X Files at that time was the online chat rooms because it's '93. The internet, I mean, it was just kind of getting started. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, you had the infamous dial-up, modem to get on, and but you were what's the word and then share how much you got involved with the online chat.
Yeah, so I am an original. I consider myself an original shipper, which if you've been in the the fandom from the beginning, I guess you're familiar with that term. But that term's actually expanded into fandom in general. Right now, there's all kinds of different fandom shipper groups, but the X-Files, I feel like Star Trek had it because I guess Star Trek was kind of the original because they had that Kirk Spock slash, which that is also shipper stuff. I don't want to go too much down a shipper history hole, right? But yeah, I lived on those message boards, man. I lived on them, and they were different than Twitter and Facebook. They were different because I felt like people just wanted information. And that's where they went to go to get information because I am a self-professed spoiler whore. And I would go there to, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going on with the movie? What's going on? And I just think people felt like it was more of a community than anything. And therefore, I felt like people were way more respectful to each other than they are on social media today. It was a place to try and get information. And it was a place to... Hashtag shipper hole. I like that. It was just a place to share your love of the show with other people. And you're like, oh my God, there's people like me out there that do want Mulder and Scully to get together. Yay.
Yeah. It was the message board. It was chat rooms too. Like, we had AOL chat and you can just like choose, or you can start a room, I think, if I remember correct, at one point, right? And then like people can join the room, and it's like people with shared interests would just go there. And I think because of that, and because of the time period, because it hadn't been around for so long, people were just taking the physical world, politeness and bringing that into the chat rooms because it was all new. And so you just took what you knew from the real world into the chat room, and that's how you behaved with people and you interacted. And that somewhere that got lost, I guess. But yeah, it's that same idea of like a shared community. You're there because you're interested in the same thing. But then, yeah, gosh, you go on Facebook and like some of the paranormal threads, like people like lash out in ways that it's like, oh my God, like, why are you doing this? We're just, we're having a shared conversation about something we're fascinated with. But I don't know. I guess the only way to do it, maybe you would know, Carrie, like, is like if you have a website, like a fan website for X-Files, and then you create your own board. That's probably the only way to sort of emulate that thing.
I think so. Anymore. Yeah. And I'm a part of a bunch of different X-Files Facebook groups just because, right? I'll look at them, but I do not post on them because that's just, man, people they're mean.
Somehow, a bad episode of the X-Files would be blamed on Joe Biden right now. Just saying.
I don't know. I still blame Chris Carter, but whatever.
Yeah, me too.
Again, episode 2, Deep Throat. Deep Throat actually is the name of the informant during the Nixon,
the Watergate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a Linda Lovelace porno movie, but
that's true. That is true.
All right. I don't have any background 70s porn music ready to play, but you caught me off guard there. But staying with, let's kind of go through, and then actually I turned it on right now on comments. It's I think it's season 8. Might be 8. I don't know. It's 8 or 9. Which we'll get into because I think the Doggett character doesn't get enough credit.
Not at all.
But we'll talk about that soon. But staying
Mhm.
with the first episode, or excuse me, first season. I mean, it had its good share of the mythology. Obviously the pilot was part of the mythology. Deep Throat,
Mhm.
part of the mythology. I guess the third episode, which they introduced the monster of the week. It was that's the gist of the X-Files. It was the mythology and the monster of the week.
Mhm.
Squeeze, which you had a mutant who ate liver, people's
Mhm.
liver, and had to eat 5 during this certain window, and then he went into hibernation for 30 years or something like that. What was your take, Carrie, on Squeeze? Because that did kind of really get it going with the monster of the week.
I mean, it's a freaky episode. It's well written. It's
Yeah.
really good. The concept is really interesting too, because he's not like a ghost or a demon. Like it's I guess what's the word? A Darwinian occurring phenomenon, right?
Mm.
That's something that I don't know could possibly exist in nature that kind of has the hallmarks of with hibernation and that kind of thing. So I thought it was a really good episode. It was scary.
Alan?
Yeah. That was like right off the bat. The first 2 episodes set the tone for the entire series. And those monsters of the week episodes were horror episodes, for the most part. And that's what made it so great, because especially when the theme music kicked in, now it was like, okay, what are we going to get into now? You turn the lights, like we would, and my mom and I especially watched it a lot together. We turn the lights off, like really get into the mood, that get into that scary state, and yeah, I mean, you just went for the ride. And sometimes they were hit and miss, with the monsters, but that's okay, because there was like how many 23 episodes a season. I mean,
For the
they had a
most part,
lot back
about
then.
yeah.
So it was like, if it was a week episode, it was like, okay, cool, next one will probably be another great one.
There was, during that first season, there was some what I would consider some of my least favorite episodes. I'm gonna just run off these episodes real quick.
Mhm.
Squeeze, that was episode 3. Episode 4, can do it. 5, Jersey Devils. 6, Shadows. 7, Carrie, Ghost in the Machine. That's one of the worst ones. One of the worst ones for me.
Really? You don't like that one?
Oh God! Awful.
Nice debate here, Carrie. Why is that one of the worst?
Yeah.
Oh,
why
first
is
of
it?
all, Carrie, here's a question for you. Were you ever on AOL?
Yes, I was, but don't ask me what my screen name was, because I couldn't even tell you.
So
Was it or was it not Deep Throat? Let's just get that out.
Sure, it was Deep Throat. It
Okay.
absolutely was Deep Throat 1013. That's what it was.
There you go.
But there were deep throats in chat. That is
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Hell yeah, there was. So Ghost in the Machine, Carrie, go ahead.
So no, Ghost in the Machine. Okay, no, I thought you were talking Space is the worst episode. Sorry, Ghost in the Machine is actually. I'm sorry, I was
right. No,
I was
you're
confused
right.
in my
You're
head.
right.
I was confused. No, I
Right.
like Ghost in the Machine with
I do
the
too.
kind of the
That
AI
artificial,
taking
yeah.
over artificial.
You're right.
No, I like that one. Sorry.
Mhm.
All right.
Space is the one I hate.
Okay. All right. So Space is the one. That's episode 9. Episode 8 was Ice, where they're in some Alaskan outpost, another parasite kind of thing.
I love that one. Yeah.
That was a good one. Space, episode 9. Yeah, Carrie, me and you are on the same page with that.
Bad.
Now, Alan, now that we've clarified Space, so is that thumbs up?
Yeah, it's the epitome of like the worst of conspiracy theories done on the cheap, So it just because what makes the X-Files at its best is when it's grounded in as much science or speculative science or speculative conspiracy, as possible. That's based around at least on some facts. And in this case, it was just not It was just pure. It felt like a high school project.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't
Here's
good.
a couple comments. I gotta get these in because that's the show. The comment section or the chat section is part of the show. So, B Cycle asked, and hey, B, they weren't together. So for the record, they were not. People like to have some of these I'm gonna bring up because I don't know the gist of what they said. Both producers love the tension. Here's one just for the record: smoke weed for chronic erection. This is how we go. Nixon was a Deep Throat fan. Well,
Wait, what?
I said Nixon was a Deep Throat. Here's one, Alan, for you. How does Alan always look like Mr. Smith through conversations like this?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, like the Matrix. You look like the Matrix dude, I guess. Mr. Smith in the Matrix. Yeah.
Mr. Anderson. Right. Got it. I've been practicing it.
Okay. So, yeah, space. I don't know if we kept going or we're done with that, but look, it's already 9:34 and we're still midway through season 1.
There's no way we're gonna get through all of the seasons.
No, we're gonna go. Okay. I'm gonna go be quick. So all right, based on season 1 again, episode 10, Fallen Angel, episode 11, Eve, were
genetic experiment stuff.
Yeah. Fire season or episode 12, that was pretty good. Episode 13, Beyond the Sea, which that episode, Carrie, if I recall, isn't that episode that Scully did that kind of open her up to just kind of start believing in this, because that was what Luther Boggs, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Just the I don't know, because to me I was like that was one where Mulder thought he was a fraud, and Scully was believing in this vision or his predict whatever. So episode 14, Gender Bender. That's the one that's a series of sexually oriented murders that are identical, except that the killer appears to be both male and female. That was actually an episode that Nicholas Lee, better known as Alex Krycek, made his show debut, but not as Krycek. Episode, I mean, just staying with Tombs. That was there was the second one of Squeeze. The Eugene Toombs, the character was that was a kind of a part 2 of him. Carrie, let me just sort it out. What about season 1? What was your takeaway from season 1? If you can recall.
The takeaway from season 1 was this just wasn't a show about aliens. This was a show about all kinds of different paranormal phenomenon, plus aliens, plus government conspiracy, plus whatever else that you could throw in there. And that's why I think it was so much fun, because like Alan was saying, even if you watch Space, you'd be like, okay, there's this episode next week's gonna be better. Right? And they're gonna have a better monster, better storyline, or whatever. And I think every episode was fresh, so that's why you kept coming back, because you didn't know if you're going to get an alien episode or a monster of the week episode.
Now, Maria, Space was not the one with the killer cats. That's a little later.
No, that's later. Yeah, that's
later
what they drinking of the Yahe or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. And at the end of the last episode, the 24th episode of season 1. 24 episodes. Yeah, they were heavy with their episode counts each season, which, but after 5 seasons, they're at, over 100 episodes. And that's a long time for a series. That's a lot of shows for a series. Of work. Yeah. And for David Duchovny to either, threaten to quit because if they didn't move, he very well might have. I mean, a 5-year run, that many episodes, and you just did the movie.
Yeah.
It's a nice run.
And
But
I mean, and he was at the peak of his probably bankability,
Oh,
and and getting deals and contracts in Hollywood. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been a bad time for him to leave. That's for sure. Yeah.
One other important character, correct me if I'm wrong, was this right? Let's see. Was Mr. X? Mr. X was introduced. No, he wasn't introduced. He's season 2. He came on after Deep Throat died at the end.
Exactly.
So he had to be season 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was a little bit into season 2.
That's all right. Heading over to season 2. First episode, Little Green Men. So that kind of continues with the mythology. But the second episode, Monster of the Week, was The Host. And this was wasn't this a Darren Morgan episode? I know he played didn't he play Carrie, the character of the what is it, the
Fluke Man.
Fluke Man. So
it's one of my favorite episodes.
Still, it still holds up really well too. It's amazing. Yep. For a television show, horror genre, prosthetics. It's like, yeah, it's a classic.
Chris Carter wrote it.
Did he write that? Okay. Gotcha.
There you go. It's just so freaking creepy. It's like the epitome of just creeping you out. Like it's not necessarily like, shock and horror. It's just so eerie. It just gets under your skin, Yeah. That's it. I love that episode.
Yeah, and especially the end, where it's not resolved. Like he's in the porta potty at the end, right? So he's still out there.
Right. That's like the creepiest part about it.
Yeah.
And Carrie, what do you think about so many vast majority of mysteries not being resolved?
I actually liked it. Like I liked it because not only does it kind of, leave you with, oh God, I hate not unresolved, but kind of like this, just this left with this tension, but I also like the fact that they gave them room to possibly bring the character back like they did with Toombs, like they did with Donnie Faster, that kind of thing. So I think there's kind of a 2 or 3-fold thing going on there. Plus, I mean, you get a lot of good fan fiction, which, yes, I was a fan fiction person. All right. Based on the back of some of those unresolved plot lines.
What do you think the percentage is of fan fiction writers that also were Dungeons and Dragons players?
Oh, it's 95%.
That's so funny.
All right, Alan, I concede I can't do this continuous at this pace with each seasons, or we would never get out of here. But one I think definitely one important angle or episode / angle was Dwayne Barry, Carrie. Yes.
Yeah, for for several different reasons. Real life reasons, right?
Go ahead.
Because Gillian Anderson did get pregnant, and they had to figure out a way kind of around that. If she didn't get pregnant, I'm not sure that storyline would have taken the angle that it did. I think that they wanted Scully possibly to be abducted because of the believer non-believer thing, but the way it happened and then the way it turns into her with the cancer and all that, because I'm not sure the storyline would have gone down that same path if Gillian had not gotten pregnant.
An unplanned pregnancy at that. I think it was someone from the someone that's within this show. Somebody behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Not that it's really any of my business, but so Scully is abducted by Dwayne Barry. Great character for the show. Yeah. Dwayne Barry.
Well, the acting was great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, especially for those people out there who identify, as experiencers.
He was,
I actually think that's one of the other things that the show did was it was respectful to experiencers. That's what I feel like it really was. I felt like Chris Carter really actually respected the fact that people, there are people out there that have had abduction experiences,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever considered that, but I think you're on.
Whole Nightcap and the whole Betsy, I'm blanking on her last name.
Betsy
And all of that kind of stuff. And then, with all the women getting cancer and the clones and
You mean Betty and Barney Hill?
Betsy Pagoda.
No, Betsy was a character.
Was it? Sorry. I really felt like Chris Carter actually in the show did a good job of being respectful to those people who have had experiences.
Great. I never thought of that. Yeah. So I think you're right there. One episode that I personally liked. This was while Jillian was, I guess, on maternity leave. It's episode 7 of season 2. It's called 3, as in the number 3. This is where it's the little 3-part person cult who would kill. They were quote unquote vampires, but the lead female guest, I guess, on the for that show at the or that episode at the time was David Duchovny's real life girlfriend. I thought that was a solid episode. Carrie, you're shaking your head no. Is it? You don't. It's not. All right, Space or 3. Which one?
Space. I'll take Space over 3. I refuse to watch 3.
Wow.
I refuse.
Really? Why?
Yeah. It's an OG shipper thing, man. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
I kind of feel like Rockstar in chat likes 3.
I like 3.
Well, I'm just
3.
curious. Rockstar, did you like
all the right and wrong reasons? I like 3.
All the right and the wrong reasons. Yeah. 3. It was good. I thought it was solid. I mean,
you put that under Space.
Wow. It was a little deep throat porn on the porn side of things in regard to the use of that phrase. But yeah, I mean, look, they had to take like some risks along the way, and go like, oh, is this going to work for the series? Oh, nope. Okay, let's pull that back a little bit.
Well, I mean, at that point, let's be honest. When it comes to the whole paranormal horror thing, they in season 1 they did the werewolf thing, a vampire. Yeah, they had to work that in. I thought they did a very sexy, erotic way of doing it. Carrie, I mean, would you want something to fly in the middle of the night, Carrie, to swoop down and drink your blood?
You got the far superior vampire episode in season 5, which is possibly one of my greatest favorite episodes of all time. Is Bad Blood. I mean,
my God, that's
far superior to 3.
I still laugh my ass off. But it hadn't happened yet. Okay, I'm just saying.
Was that Luke Wilson's breakout?
Oh, his breakout, but he was established. I thought he was established.
I don't think he was. Was he established?
You don't think so? No.
I don't remember. Maybe he was.
All right. So, real quick, staying with season 2. Next episode was One Breath, episode 8, which was Scully's. She came back. I thought that was a very great episode to introduce or bring her back and continue the whole mythology storyline. Then from there, we got Firewalker, which was the volcano. Not one of my favorite ones. Red Museum. I'm going to just throw some names out and we can recap it real quick. Red Museum, 10. 11, Excelsius Day. That was the nursing home nursing home. Episode 12, Aubrey. 13, Irresistible, that was Donnie Faster, right? 14, I'm gonna butcher this. Verletz.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Cult. 15, Fresh Bones, which is that Haitian refugee camp. 16 and 17, 2-parter, Colony, Endgame. This introduced the bounty hunter, Carrie. which I thought was one of the important characters of this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And, just again, what's into the mythology of the aliens. Are they here? Are they among us?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, a lot is given away eventually, like green blood and, like
Toxic at that.
toxic. Right. But you still weren't quite sure,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that. But eventually, I guess they explained all that away. But yeah,
Did
I mean,
they?
I wish there was a way they could reincorporate that
Yeah.
kind of mystique. I'm sorry, I keep going back to that. I guess I'm
No.
still lamenting season 10 and 11. Like I'm damaged.
All right,
Therapy.
rattling off the rest of season 2. Fearful Symmetry, not one of my favorite ones.
Mm-mm.
That's the animals from the zoo that disappeared. Blah, blah. Dodd. Am I saying it right?
Uh-huh.
Where they
Get old. Yeah, they get old on the ship. Yep.
Humbug, which was episode 20. That's the one where you had this kind of the circus, the freak show thing. I thought that was solid.
I thought it was great. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The Calusari.
Calusari. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Carrie, you can pronounce it.
Emasculati, I think is how you pronounce it, with the pus.
Yeah, but that was that to me is not so far fetched.
Well, and if you think about it too, if you're looking at season 2, you're hitting a bunch of environmental topics because you have the nuclear spill with the that caused Fluke Man. Right. You've got the Fearful Symmetry. It's not a great episode, but it's dealing with extinction of animals and saving of animals. F Emasculati, I believe that's how you say it, is dealing with virology and I mean spreading of a mass contagion, right? With a couple of people who escape a prison that they're experimenting on. So it's kind of interesting that you get environmental stuff, you get virology stuff, you almost get real world stuff that's scarier than any kind of monster you could create.
No, that's yeah. I mean, whatever you think about COVID, it was here. However you think or whatever, it was still here. Soft Light R Town rounded out the season 2.
Anasazi was the last episode of season 2.
Oh, did I did totally miss that. Yeah, you're right. Which is that's a part of the mythology. Very important episode. That's the hacker. That had access to the Department of Defense data on UFOs and stuff.
Yeah, like all of the Roswell accounts or anything you can imagine, right? Like it was supposed to be on this disc. Yeah.
Season 3 started off really it was a two-parter, which was really the first 2 episodes of season 3 were part of the 3 episodes, which was the conclusion of 2 and leading into season 3. DPO, Darren, I forgot the middle.
Peter Oswald,
the kid that survived lightning.
Giovanni Risby does an amazing job.
Yeah. There's so many. There's a lot of, and maybe you're right, Alan, about Luke Wilson, but there was Ryan Reynolds, there's a lot of guys that are people that got started. Well, not started, but kind of they were. Jack Black was in that episode too, right?
Mm-hmm.
DPO, yeah. Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's
Peter Boyle.
Yeah, Peter Boyle. Yeah.
The List. Too Shy. That was at that point. It's 95. It was season 3, episode 6 in 1995. The internet was really. It was starting to become a thing, and this was the episode where people were women were getting murdered off a blind date because they were connecting in some date chat room or something. So I'm just, it's not going to do me any good to go rattling all these names, but one of my favorite episodes of season 3 was Pusher. Oh, Carrie, you're not dazzled.
No, it's a good episode. It really is. It's a good episode. And again, it leaves off to the fact where we see him pop up again in season
4 or 5.
No,
6?
I think it's
No,
6.
you're right.
I think it's 6.
Yeah.
Because then he has a sister. But no, it's a good episode because again, it speaks to possible real world scenarios, in my opinion, in terms of hypnosis and mind control and the power of suggestion.
Yeah, and I think it's also a metaphor too. You know, for how we can be manipulated. You know, words are magic, and if you allow yourself to be too open-minded or too open, rather, then you're susceptible to being persuaded to enact or believe in something that may not be entirely true, which we see right now in the real world. So.
Again, I just saw this comment and I don't know why it originated. Everyone looking down. Okay. See, there's the conversation within the conversation.
We're definitely not here, Maria, so don't worry about that.
It's still the deep throat thing.
Go
ahead. Still in season 3, Jose Chung from Outer Space. Carrie. That's I mean,
so,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, it's a classic. I mean, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Who
Morgan.
plays? No, Larry. He plays Jose Chung, and I'm totally blanking on his name.
Jose Chung.
See, he was on the original Match Game. Charles Nelson Riley. Yes, yeah. Charles. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But
what was that game show he was on all the time?
It was a Match Game. Match Game 77, 76, whatever. That's a great rerun show. Anyway, but that's great. It's a great episode just because that's one of the first episodes where you get, them telling this or you see them in other people's eyes, not how they see themselves necessarily, but how other people see their behaviors.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I think that the success of that episode also opened the door to doing some more tongue-in-cheek comedic episodes. And,
yeah. The one thing about that episode I remember is the one guy who was the deputy or sheriff, whatever, instead of saying
holy bleep,
he would say bleeping or F or flipping or something, but you knew what he yeah, that was good. Let's see.
Or like the what was that, season 6? Was it the Cops episode?
Ex-Cops, yeah.
That was on the other day, and I watched it. That one I has become one of my favorites every time I watch it.
And that's one again where you never see the creature, you never see it, and the daylight happens.
But correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't. We're jumping ahead, but we're freestyling at this point. There wasn't per se a creature, wasn't it? All based on your fear, so it could be a werewolf, or it was Freddy Krueger, or whatever.
But you never actually figure out what it was.
You're right. You don't.
Yeah.
But you knew it was all based on a full moon, because once the sun came up or it became light, then it went away. The last episode of season 3 was Talitha. I don't know, I'm butchering this. I'm not good. Kumi. That's the one where, again, the bounty hunter, Fox's sister is she back? I guess she's involved in it as a clone.
Yeah. How did you feel about that, Carrie?
That's
his sister being a clone, or a clone of his sister.
But eventually there was, and actually the episode, I was going to say Closure, but the episode is called Closure. But we do get the answer. But go ahead.
So I actually liked that because it continued his search. So you never so there's all these clones of her as a child, right, running around. But is her an adult? Is she still alive? but then we find out, well, there's clones of her as an adult too. I actually liked it because it really kept that storyline going rather than just saying he was still hunting for his sister.
Yeah. So does closure say that his sister is dead?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
For sure, right?
She died. That was part of the whole starlight thing where she disappeared. The nurse came into the room and she was gone, but she died. Correct me if I'm wrong, she was 14 at that time, right? When
I
she
think
died.
so.
It's very
Yeah.
young. So everything, it was all a lie, really. All his sister meeting his sister in the other episodes. So
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, so what was so the mystery initially with Mulder was the search for his sister. Then after closure, does that change one's interest in his character because that core, hunger for knowledge is gone?
I don't think so, because he's stumbled onto so many more conspiracies and bigger.
That was season 7,
right?
Which technically was his last full-time season.
Well, and then he gets abducted by aliens in season 8. But I think that at the end of
he gets abducted on the last episode of season 7. But yeah, go ahead.
Right, yeah. So I'm trying
people there with the viewership jumped up. We are talking X-Files
at the end. So at the end of season 6, where he finds out that he possibly has alien DNA, and we go through that whole entire thing where Scully finds the ship and all of that kind of stuff. So I think even after season 7, he's had those experiences. So I think that at least now that he knows his sister is no longer with us or with him, he can put that chapter away and focus on like these other bigger government type conspiracies and alien things. That's my opinion.
Works for me.
Yeah, it works.
Yep. So I'll tell you one episode in season 4 that still remains the most controversial episode. Home. It was episode 2. This was the family. Was it the peacock?
Peacocks, yeah.
Peacocks, where you're talking incest. I mean, it's the breed. Oh, it was. I thought it was a good episode, but it still remains one of the most talked about controversial episodes, Carrie, of the whole X-Files lore.
Is it still controversial, or was it just controversial then?
Well, I mean, I guess if you still, I guess now there's worse, but definitely at that time. But I think if you sum up the whole series, that one episode is one where even people that I've talked to, some people choose not to watch it because of the content. So
my husband won't watch it. Like, I make him watch X-Files sometimes, and he will not watch that. He's watched it one time, and he was like, "I will never watch that episode again."
It's just revolting? Is that what it is?
He just thinks it's disturbing. Yeah. I guess just the whole kind of concept and the content, and I mean, just the what's the word I'm looking for? The caveman like behavior of just beating people with baseball bats. I mean, that's as primal as you can possibly get to kill somebody. Just beating them to death with a baseball bat. And then again, at the end of that episode,
where
what happens?
You're in a town where at that time no one's locking their doors.
Right. But at the end of that episode, we see that the peacocks drive off into the into the night. They don't get captured, and they don't get punished for
Mama's
their,
put in the trunk.
Yeah.
And
which I think is actually I think the end is a little bit disturbing to me. I mean, the violence and the gore and the other subject matter that comes up.
The suggestion.
Right. But the suggestion that they continue on with their lives, I guess. But you also got to speak to the fact that this also is an episode that centers around Scully's struggle with her biological clock.
Good point.
Yeah, that juxtaposition.
Yeah,
makes it
and Mulder acknowledges it too. I mean, just there was that moment where she's interacting with the child or something in a something
the bathroom. They have to,
Oh yeah. That baby. One of the episodes in season 4, real quick, I thought was definitely important was musings of a cigarette smoking man. You really get to know Cancer Man, Carrie.
You do. And so, Alan, I guess I'd like to ask you this question since you kind of were talking about how you didn't like.
We haven't heard this in about 5 minutes, so
hashtag deep threat. So what did you feel about this episode? I guess I'm interested on your take because you were saying at the beginning how you weren't super into how they kind of exposed a lot of information about a lot of different characters.
Yeah, well, with him, I think it was different. Like they took their time with him, which I think was good. But it's not like knowing about him doesn't take away the mystique of the mission or like who's operating what behind the scenes really, because even like when we get to Fight the Future, season 4 and 5, we have a clear view of a cabal of people. They still don't really understand, what their motivation is, because they think they know what they're doing, but they might be wrong, and do we really trust them to tell us what the aliens' intentions are? So because you can't really trust them, like it allows that mystique to kind of live in the background. Like, what are the aliens going to do? Are they really planning this invasion, or is that just something that the cabal is seeding? Like disinformation, to Fox and Scully. So I don't know. I liked it. So I guess you're right. It kind of does undercut that a little bit, but not enough to to take away the mystery behind it all.
Yeah, and I think on some level you have to speak to how he even got involved on all of this. Now, I did think that putting him, I thought putting him in the middle of the JFK assassination was a little too obvious. I was like, okay, I get it, but overall, I did think it was a good episode, and I like the fact that the character who plays CGB or plays his son Spender.
Spender.
Yeah, Jeffrey Spender played him in that episode.
Yeah. No, I liked it because if you're going to say, okay, we're going to tell you more about this villain, then you really need to make him a villain. For him to do what whether he thought it was the right thing to do or not.
He did kill MLK, right? Didn't he?
JFK.
No, he killed Martin Luther King too, right?
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did.
Was that in the same episode?
Yes. Martin Luther King. He's coming out of the hotel, and he said something like, "I have too much respect for the guy. I have to do it myself."
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm gonna have to rewatch that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah.
So there you go. Even more. It just makes him the villain.
Yeah. All right. So we got looking at what's the other things stand out. I'll tell you one in season. We missed this. I guess in the first season we didn't talk. It was Fallen Angel. What's his name? Max. Come on, Carrie. Max.
His last name is going to escape me.
Yeah, Max. Well, anyways, he was an abductee. He also, and there was a couple episodes in season 4, Tempest Fugit and Max, where I thought were done very well. Small Potatoes go into the humor. That was the one with the tail, right? The babies that were with the tails that were
vestigial. Yeah.
And then last episode, season 4, Gethsemane.
Yeah.
That was solid. So I know. Season 5 started out with is it Redux? Is that how they pronounce Redo?
Yeah, Redux. I say Redux.
Yeah.
Redux.
So season 1, season 2, or episodes 1 and 2, very important to me. Very important episodes. Emily, the daughter that Scott. I didn't care for that. I didn't like that.
I didn't like that either, to be honest.
Mm.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I think and actually, I have to kind of have to go soon, so this will lead into my question to Carrie.
Go.
So one of the issues that I had, and I think a lot of fans had, is the way Scully's fertility is used. Her body throughout all over and over again. And so when we get to season 11, it's like a WTF moment, like, again, are you freaking, like, can you not come up with something original at this point? And like, so I guess, Carrie, so if they can convince Gillian Anderson to do a season 12, because her prerequisite as of late was, I'll think about it, but we need like new creative juice, we need new ideas, blah blah blah, which is a wink wink to Chris. Maybe just give a little room to some other creatives to come in here. What how do you think we can move forward?
I honestly don't know. Season 10 and 11 were such a mess in terms of basically, hey, everything that you watched for the 9 years of that show, just forget about it, right? It doesn't exist. It never existed. It's, whatever. I don't see it happening. I think that they really screwed up season 11, especially in dealing with Scully, and not only her fertility, but her religion as well, because those were always two big themes in her character, were her religion and her, her fertility. And I don't think you can come back from saying that William's some kind of super soldier alien baby thing that never was Mulder's, that the cigarette smoking man impregnated her. It's too much. It's too much. I think
the only way I think you can do it is to literally just throw out season 10 and 11.
I think
just say these are fan fiction seasons. They don't count as a part of the the
canon and
and we're gonna move forward from there.
I would be okay if they totally Bob Newharted it, and like Scully or Mulder woke up and was like, "Oh my God, you're never gonna believe the dream I had," and then they go into William's room and he's in there sleeping. I'm good with that.
That would be cool. But that's kind of what they did, right? Like Scully woke up from the hospital bed, like she had a dream, right, or something.
Well,
season 10 wasn't really a real thing.
Yeah, but then season 11 at the end, where she's like, "I'm pregnant," and then it's like, "But William's not really your kid," and
yeah.
Well, and again, how did they address the infertility and thinking it was just a mess. I can't. It's very difficult for me to talk about just because it was such a flippant mess, and the fact that at the very beginning of season 10, in that first episode, Chris Carter was basically like, yeah, all that mythology, all that work we put into the mythology, all that work we put into telling the story of the mythology and the secret track on the CD of Fight the Future at the end of that CD, at the 1013 mark, all that just never existed. And I was just like,
wait, did he say that, or you're just saying through the episode?
No, just through the episode. That was kind of the impression that I got, was basically that he was like, every single thing that we told you through 9 seasons and a movie was not true.
And don't forget the second movie that to me totally sucked too.
It was a Monster of the Week movie. I was fine with it, but again, going back to the fact that really
okay. Let me, maybe suck is too hard. Well, now you're gonna, these are sound bites, but it's just, to me, a movie should have been part of the mythology. it should have never went monster.
Well, and I think one of the problems too with seasons 10 and 11, and kind of some of the things I read and the impression that I got, is the two characters that they brought on, Einstein and what's his head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had kind of read that they were hoping to do like a spin-off with those two to continue the mythology and to continue this world where Mulder and Scully may occasionally make an appearance, but that these two agents were going to kind of take the baton and run with it. And I think fans were so angry at the whole thing and so angry at those two characters that they scrapped it. And that's why season 11 ended up like it did.
All right. I know, Alan, you got to bounce, but I got to ask real quick before you leave. The congressional hearing, we're digressing a little bit. Not a little bit. We are digressing. It happened last week. What was your take? I mean, obviously as a paranormal fan, enthusiast, filmmaker, Carrie, I'll send you his, he just released a documentary. It's very good. I'll share that with you. What was your take on the hearing, Alan?
I was satisfied with it.
Were you?
Yeah, I
Really?
was. Yep, because well, I'm being optimistic, perhaps naively so. But what I think I saw was taking a baby step to warm up the public to further continue. Because up until now, it's been articles, it's been a released report, the creation of AOS Mag. How do I pronounce that? I don't anyway, the task force and so on. So I think that now they're like, oh, now we're showing you a little bit of a video. We're actually talking about it like it's a legit subject on camera. It's not just text that you see on a screen. And so people will go, oh, nothing crazy happened. I talk about UFOs, but nothing crazy happened. It was just really talking about national security, and we need to up our equipment, and cool. And I think that there'll be another one, and hopefully little by little, over the next 5 years is my guess, we'll kind of reach this point of general consensus that
5 more years, Alan.
I think so. I think just based on history, I'm worst case scenario, I think within 10 years we'll be at that place where the general public's like, oh, so these things probably are extraterrestrials. But they're gonna take it slow. Yeah. And also I think you have to, well, I shouldn't say you have to, but I think like they're kind of letting a certain generation die off so that they don't have to account for the decades of bold-faced lies to the public. And so, I think the changing of the guard, and then the new guard's going to say, this is what they did. We decided to no longer do this. So they'll make themselves kind of look good, because they'll say, we're going to be the ones that release this information. Yeah, we knew about it for a while, but the previous generation, they made oaths of secrecy, and we respected that. That's kind of what I see what's happening right now. Okay. Others totally disagree. And the theme that keeps coming up over and over again, and especially in the last year's assessment, was that we need to improve our technology, and not just get new technology to study these things that are behaving in ways that our current technology is not designed to detect for. So it's like trying to look at something in the UV spectrum without understanding what creating a lens that can actually do that. And so I think that they are trying to create those lenses, whatever that is. And they're also saying that the technology they currently have just needs to be calibrated to forward these behaviors. And then perhaps and once that's done, then they can capture more data and learn more about it. So to me, all in all, it's positive. I never thought it was going to be like the flooding that, like in Lord of the Rings when the Ent people break the what's the
they break Saruman's castle.
Saruman's, yeah. And like there's the breaking of the dam, and no, I just never thought that was going to be that moment.
Oh, real quick, what's been your take? Because you see it. on either social media and other podcasts, when it's cutthroat right now. You're either team Elizondo or you're burying him every chance you get. I mean, or
I,
all
yeah.
the Melon, all of them. So where do you
Why-
stand?
Well, okay. So why are people hating on Elizondo right now?
I think some of it, honestly, I think I'm a fan, so I'm an enthusiast, so I'm just taking it all in. But a lot of people who devote their time and energy to either are researchers or investigators,
Mhm.
I think some of it is just, I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but he's on the end. But
Mhm.
there people are holding him to task that he's inconsistent with in his interviews and
Yeah.
it's that show, the show outside of this, that whole narrative where, I mean, it's cutthroat. You either love or hate the guy, and you're attacking them. But I just think, aren't we just still trying to get answers somehow, some
Yeah.
way? I
Yeah.
mean, so I don't know, Alan. I
No,
know you're
I felt fairly neutral about him this entire time, leaning towards, a general positive, assessment of his behavior and things that he's done. Because anyone who knows anyone who has had to keep top secret information, or is loyal to their military or to their government, that's something that we should actually honor. And we should celebrate that there are people that have that ability to do that, and take that seriously. Of course, I understand that this is a cosmic issue. This is bigger than any one government, but that tells me that if Lou Elizondo was to come out and tell us other things that he knew, it would be kind of like just dropping a dead weight. It wouldn't work, because you can't just come out there and say, I was told or I have seen, because then we're stuck in the same conundrum as we have had with whistleblowers with the UFO phenomena for decades. It's like, that's awesome. Can you provide the evidence? And Lou doesn't work in that office anymore. So unless he, stole, top secret evidence and brought it, and he's going to share that with the public, which would end up him being in jail.
I mean, he's still bound to either some type of oath or what, so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But also, if you're, put the contract and oath aside. If you're a patriot, and you have served your country, and there's a certain loyalty that comes with that. And I think that some people take that, we'll take it to the grave with them, and I can't hate them for that. I just can't, because we do need that. We do need that for our security. So I don't know. I think let's just wait.
Window open, Carrie.
Yeah.
It's hot. So let's let it play out, and also he's probably struggling too, because he wants to say something and he can't really say it. So he kind of tries to talk around it a little bit and wink at things without getting himself in trouble. I've seen him do that a lot. And that's all right, because in the meantime, he's actually taking action in his own way behind the scenes. He's still working towards disclosure. And that's why at least we have that. We haven't had that since the 60s, so that's a positive.
And from that hearing last week, it's still a hot topic with mainstream media. Whatever side your platform you choose to watch, they are talking about it. So, Alan, I know you need to bounce. Appreciate your time. Carrie, stay with me a few more minutes. Alan, I'll be in touch. Shout out to people who can find you at all your. Go.
Paranormal Pop on YouTube, youtube.com/paranormal pop. You can watch the Half-Light documentary, or you can follow me on @Paranormal Now on Instagram. That's
there it is. ABS, LB. Good to see you,
bye,
brother.
everyone in chat. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Carrie.
Nice to meet you.
Take care, brother. All right, Carrie. What we I don't know how many seasons we got, but we're going to need a two-parter to finish out the X-Files review. Over my shoulder, I was watching, I guess this was what season 8 was playing. Still, this is one I wind up flipping to the logo because I started watching it. Yeah, that was the one. The one that was playing was the one where Mulder comes. It's Dead or Dead Alive.
Dead Alive.
He comes back. Docket, you weren't feeling it? No,
I'm a fan.
Really,
not a fan of him or Reyes to tell you
Reyes,
the truth.
yeah, I wasn't dazzled with it, but I thought Doggett. I just kind of like that dynamic where Scully became more of the believer, and Doggett was. I thought his character was solid. There's some good episodes in season 8 and 9. I'm just saying.
Once I latch onto something, I don't like change, and that was change. And that was shipper change.
That was a hard change.
That was a hard left for me, or right,
was.
or whatever you want to say. And I didn't care for it. I was like, what are you doing to my show? What are you doing to my two favorite people?
Would Doggett in a blue Speedo have changed you?
No.
What would
I actually like Robert Patrick as an actor. You know, I loved him in Terminator 2. I mean, I like him. I just did not like that character.
Oh man. Damn, that's where we totally disagree. I loved his character. I thought he was great. I was messaging you last night. I said one of my favorite episodes of his run was that the gift where there was that in the I don't know what soul healer eater or whatever.
With the Indian dude that was on the thing, the little skateboard thing.
The way that they had Mulder involved, because Mulder that was one of the episodes that truly identified that Mulder was dying. Mm-hmm. He had the brain thing or something, but so yeah, well, screw you, Carrie.
Well, that's it. I'm out.
Let's see, and then we don't even need to talk about seasons 10 and 11. I'm just so disappointed. But at the same time, the way I think about this, because keep in mind, season 9 and 10, it was what 14 year gap between 9 and 10.
Well, but you had the I Want to Believe movie in between 9 and 10.
Yeah, but again, that was.
But that doesn't count.
Yeah,
it doesn't because it showed you where Mulder and Scully were, but it still was a Monster of the Week episode, so it kind of is in the canon. And at the very, very end, where they're in the boat, and the music's playing overlay and they're waving, and it's like, oh, okay, so they kind of gone off together into the sunset, right? And then, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, here comes season 10 to punch you in the face.
Yeah, I'm thinking in season 10 and 11 there might be, because there's over 200 episodes during this the X-Files series. Seasons 10 and 11, maybe one would even sniff the top 50 of my all-time, and that's probably a stretch. Though probably my favorite one was the one where Reggie. It was the more comedy one.
The Art of Forehead.
That might have been I'm saying of those two seasons. That might have been my favorite episode of the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there was nothing that I really. There is talk that Jillian has gone on record, that if the right people, if they could get, I guess, different people involved, and that she would consider it. And I don't think David has shut it down, but there's no way that they could. To me, at this point, I think it's just maybe unless they did a movie, I don't think another season would work.
I honestly don't know where you would go with it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, where
Because
would you go? Yeah.
I think part of the reason that season 10 didn't work is instead of staying with the overall arcing seasons 1 through 9 plus fight the future mythology, which had been canon established, as fan canon or whatever, he tried to shoehorn it into modern the today, right? Or whenever season 10 came out, whatever year, what was that,
2016 is when
2016?
Yeah.
Okay. And we all know what was going on in 2016, right? So I think I don't have to, I don't have to say any more than that, but I think he tried too hard to shoehorn it in to modern day culture and politics instead of staying with the overarching mythology of the show. And I think that's what did it in.
That's fair. Totally fair. It's a pop culture phenomenon show. I was seeing or read somewhere of the all-time greatest villains in a TV series, and Cancer Man was in top 50. That's a nice accolade. The Mulder Scully dynamic, very good. Not too many, and they eventually did hook up.
Some say they did, some say they didn't. I know what camp I'm in.
Well, what are you? Are you saying they didn't?
No, I'm an OG shipper. Of course they did.
Yeah, of course they did. And it was in what? It was in what, 8 or 9 season. I mean, where they were.
Well, some people say it was in. Oh no, I'm blanking on the name of the episode. It's in season 7. It was
the last one, wasn't it? The Requiem at the.
Yeah, but like the point where people point to that is the episode that Jillian directed, and now I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's season 7, and it's pretty clear that she's in Mulder's apartment, and she gets up and she puts her shirt on, she goes in the bathroom, and the sink's dripping. Now I cannot remember the name of that episode.
I do know. You're right. It's in season 7,
and Jillian directed it.
Gotcha. We touched on this earlier, the closure, Samantha. Are you satisfied how they completed that narrative? Because there's still some unanswered questions.
And All Things was the name of that episode, by the way.
All Things,
I was okay with it because I was finally like, thank Jeebus, we're kind of done with this storyline. Because I felt like the storyline through 7 seasons had kind of run its course. I mean, how much longer can you go on searching for? I mean, I guess for as long as you're alive, right? I mean, people do when loved ones go missing, sure. But in terms of a television show, I was fine with closing that storyline and moving on to something else.
Fair. And I think I'm okay with how they did that with her. Involving, I mean, definitely there's Cancer Man and Jeffrey's involvement.
I mean, it wouldn't have been believable if he found her living in upstate New York married with 4 kids, right? I mean, it's just that it's
driving a minivan to this,
right? Yeah, to soccer practice.
Practice.
Yeah.
All right, so we're at 10:30. Girls Beer Sports, give us the lowdown. How did that all come about?
Let's see. I've been doing this 6 years now. So what is that? 2016? 2016. I was like, hey, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. I want to do a podcast. What do I want to do a podcast about? I like beer. I like sports. I wanted to center it kind of around.
And I like girls. Do you like girls? No.
Well, I'm girls as friends. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Girls as friends. Yeah. But yeah, so I actually wanted this to be accessible to people who like sports and don't like sports. So that's why I kind of assembled a.
So you wanted it to be accessible to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So even if you didn't like sports, you could either get something out of it or at least be entertained, right? So I assembled a group of females that a couple of us knew a lot about sports, such as myself, and then one of us who's still with the show, she's just kind of like a go sports ball person. I mean, she pays attention, but not near as much as like I do or whatever. So, it ended up being a fun dynamic, and we talk about all kinds of stuff now. It's evolved so much in the last 6 years, but the one thing that stayed consistent is we all drink a new beer every week and review it at the end. So that's
what's your
part of
go-to
the show.
beers?
Everybody always asks me that. I
Okay.
mean,
you put me in the same category as everybody?
Yeah. If you're going to ask me that question, then yes. I guess it just depends. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I could drink an IPA. Thank you, Maria. I could drink an IPA. I could drink a Coors Light. I could, it depends on the situation. Because if I'm sitting somewhere watching a game for a couple of hours, can't do those heavy 7% IPAs. I got to get on some Coors Lights.
I tell you what, I have yet to acquire the taste of an IPA. I've recently just acquired a taste of bourbon. And that's thanks to my buddy Russ, who has for years tried to get me to go there. But he's and I wish he was on because he is such an IPA geek, and I would have just been able to sit back and listen to y'all go back and forth about IPAs, but I can't do it.
Well, and to tell you the truth anymore, if you've had one hazy IPA, you've almost had them all. It's hard to screw up a NEPA. It's man, I can't drink Bud Light because it gives me a wicked headache. I can drink Bud Heavy though, and I have in the past. But yeah, it's really, really hard to screw up a NEPA or a hazy. And I'd get into it with Russ if he was here, and we'd talk about how
you'll come back and we got to do that. We got to
gone too heavy and all that kind of thing. So yeah, there's some nuances to it.
300 plus episodes, 6 seasons. Yeah, because I'm thinking, is that when you first started doing podcasts? Did you do?
Yeah,
that was it. Okay.
Yep, we set around an iPad and a lapel mic, and that was it. Actually, tequila makes me want to get a fist fight, and I have a good story about that.
Do you? Oh, yeah. Real quick, you got to say that. Go ahead.
So the last time I really, really heavily drank tequila, John, who is my current husband, who was not my husband then, we almost got in a fist fight. Like, it was really close. We were getting ready to throw.
And your
current husband. Yeah.
How did that happen?
We eventually tequila, and I woke up in the car because we were in a cabin, one of those cabins in Gatlinburg. No, I woke up on the floor, and I was like, "What the hell happened?" And somebody's like, "You and John damn near came to blows last night, like literally fisticuffs." And I haven't really drank tequila since then.
Tequila is another one that I'll only do it when it's a social thing where everyone's doing it and it's free. They just hand it to me. I'll do it. And I have to have the orange slice to do it. But one crazy story, my ex-wife, when I first met her at a party, and it was actually just by chance, and it was nothing. We just met. There was no connection there. But I remember walking into the party from some mutual friends, and she was literally, her and another dude were on their like 18th shot of tequila, and she definitely lived because she eventually became my wife. But the story is that her and that dude they passed out in the front yard or something. So.
Yeah, man, tequila makes me mean.
Tequila makes your clothes fall off. Does it make you sleepy or loopy too, Maria? I've heard that. I'm 80 proof.
And I can't even hardly taste 80 proof bourbon anymore. My palate's so blown out.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. 80, 90 proof. That's nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I've got a long way to go. One thing we do have to chime in on real quick is our passion for Kentucky sports. You and I met. Actually, I don't remember how we met. I guess just online we met, and I think for our was it our passion for Kentucky sports, or was it the passion for paranormal? I had to guess it'd be Kentucky.
It was sports, and then that's how we figured out that we both like the X-Files and all that
the
stuff.
X-Files and all that. You're one of my go-tos when I do my sports podcast Round of Shots, so you'll continue to get that call, and because there's always something to talk about with Kentucky sports. Anything else as we're winding down? Paranormal. What's are there paranormal shows right now that you watch?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, not really. I'm not. I tried Stranger Things the first season and just lost interest.
Through 2. I think they're on what, 4 now, maybe 4.
Yeah. Okay. Now I will say the one if you would call it a paranormal show, I suppose that has become one of my absolute favorite shows on television is What We Do in the Shadows.
The movie was great.
The TV show's fabulous. Matt Berry, if you're not familiar with Matt Berry's work, he is amazing. The show is so well written. It's so well acted. It's coming back for its 4th season, July 12th. And it's one of my favorites on television. It's hilarious. I cannot recommend it enough.
Something real quick. We haven't, just for our audience, because this show or this platform is really into the paranormal. We talk a lot about UFOs, aliens with the X-Files, and but what is your take when it comes to ghosts, cryptids, and share your enthusiasm or not so enthusiasm with those?
Well, I'm definitely I'm a ghost believer. I believe there is an afterlife, and I have my reasons for that I'm not going to go into right now. But yeah, I do believe that there are things, demons, angels that walk among us. I totally believe that there's no reason that some things like Sasquatches can't exist, and our oceans are so deep and so unexplored that God knows what's down there. Like, for real, our oceans, people want to go into space. Man, I want to go down to the bottom of the ocean, like the deepest trench in the ocean, and see what's down there. Or maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't see why there's no reason in my mind that a lot of this stuff can't exist. And I really like the cryptozoology stuff. I find that very, very interesting in terms of, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoots, big feet, Bigfoot, big feet, that kind of thing. But yeah, the oceans, man, there's stuff down there that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm. It's still, I mean, you think about 3/4 of the world is underwater, and a lot of that hasn't even been tapped into, as well as the world. I mean, there's still parts of the world that hasn't been explored or ventured into just for access or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. And I have my opinions again, which I may come on back for another show and talk about this.
Please
in
do.
terms of aliens in the oceans. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, there's always I obviously I love talking the paranormal. I love having you on too. I love our time talking sports, but it's even cooler to have you on to talk paranormal stuff. Share with everyone where people. It's in the show description in the YouTube info, but how can people connect with you?
Yeah, you can best connect with me on Twitter at GRLS Fear Sports. You can see the link right there. I'm the one who, that's our podcast Twitter account, but I'm the one who runs it. So if you're talking to that account, you're definitely talking to me. And it doesn't have to be about beer and sports. I'll talk about anything on that, on the Twitter. But that's definitely the best way if you want to interact with me. To do it on the Twitters. We have a Facebook page and Instagram where we post pictures of, it's usually I post picture once a week of the beer we drink when the new show goes up, but that's about it. But yeah, Twitter is definitely the best place to reach me. And of course, if you want to listen to an episode of Girls Beer Sports, we are everywhere good podcasts are free.
And Spreaker is your kind of home, your mothership, right?
It
Same
is,
as
but
for me.
yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on
Yeah,
ERRT Radio,
yeah.
we're on Spotify, we're on all of them.
Right. Good stuff, Carrie. Always a pleasure to hang with you, and be on the alert to get the invite to come back on a Tuesday night and do this again.
Yeah, for sure. I had a lot of fun.
I can tell you for sure it's the holiday weekend. There won't be a round of shots this Sunday.
Okay. That actually works out good for me because I got to record Bourbon and Bad Opinions, which is another podcast I do. So
Bourbon and Bad Opinions. I like that.
Yeah, it gets a little dicey.
All right, guys. Everyone in the chat room, thanks for hanging. Thanks for the questions, comments. Appreciate you as always. Appreciate the people at ERRT Radio, Ron, Andy, Bobby, for Carrie Lewis, for Alan B. Smith, Kevin Hale. Wishing everyone a good night and a good rest of your week. Peace out, my friends. Take care. Thanks, Carrie.
See ya.